Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of A Coffee with Chris, the social media show that helps you create impact. As always, brought to you in association with our charity partners, Big C, who help local people affected by cancer, and Blue Bear Coffee, which a fantastic organisation that help you replace your business's coffee to therefore help children that have experienced human trafficking. Today, I'm sipping again on their Myanmar brand. It is so delicious. I've got it in my lovely Norfolk mug, as I can show you on screen today. Sorry, all the audio listeners. Delicious stuff, and it does good. So if you're a business, grab yourself some Blue Bear coffee. You will not regret it. Of course, this podcast is always sponsored by Oliver Hill of Hill Coaching Company, Limitless Film and Media, Mindset HR, and Wingfield Consultants. That's the formalities done and out of the way. Welcome to today's guest, Managing Director of Cordt Digital, Jay Cordt. Cordt Digital help brands boost their revenue and leads with high-performing PPC, paid social, and data-driven ad strategies. This guy, what this guy doesn't know isn't worth knowing. I've learned so much from Jay over the years, so I'm delighted to get him on to geek us out on all things PPC and paid social today. Jay, welcome to the podcast. Let's start with this, my friend. You've audited and optimized over $50 million in ad spend. What is it about paid ads that gets you fired up, and why do paid ads really help a business create impact?
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of love the whole kind of numbers, so the whole number element to it. So I've always kind of been super interested in sort of data, finance, and I think sort of naturally I kind of just ended up kind of moving towards PPC because I kind of love the whole element where you can straight away see the impact of what you're kind of doing. So that's kind of how I kind of got into sort of paid ads, and I think just being able to see that kind of instant impact that the work has on the sort of client's business. So that's kind of it in a sort of nutshell. Again, just like being able to say you've spent X amount of money and this is how much money you've generated in return for the business is just kind of priceless, and it's just so nice being able to see that that kind of impact. Where I think with a lot of kind of like other marketing services, you can't really see a lot of that data, and you're almost kind of shooting in the dark where you can't really see the the sort of impact and results you're kind of getting for the business. But with paid ads, luckily you kind of have that data to a certain extent where you can see how it's actually impacted the business, which I think is really, really important.
I'm really with you on that, Jay. We normally do a business plug at the start, but I'm going to break the rules and do it at the top of the show today. Go and check out Jay's LinkedIn and see some of the results. They speak for themselves, really. The graphs that you're publishing, Jay, from kind of A to B to C to Z is absolutely phenomenal. So clearly paid social and PPC is not only something that you're passionate about, but it's also something that can create tremendous impact. Jay, one of the things that I try to do on this podcast is start with the simple starting steps, if you like, because your world, as is my world, to a lot of business owners is grey, right? It's woolly, it's fluffy, it's geeky, and they're like, I don't understand what to do. So before a business spends on paid social, spends with PPC, what should they do to set themselves up for success, Jay?
Yeah, I think you're kind of right there. Like one of the first kind of mistakes people make is they have their budget and then they just launch a campaign without even thinking about it. So they kind of like miss a lot of the fundamental stuff that you kind of need to have in place before you kind of launch the campaign. So obviously, number one, you need your website that needs to be fully optimized. But then number two, which is kind of more important, is the sort of tracking and attribution. So you kind of need all of that stuff set up before you launch the campaigns, so you can basically track how well the ads do, because a lot of people they'll launch a campaign and they won't have analytics or the data set up right to be able to track how well the ads performed, if that makes sense. So having the analytics side set up before you launch the campaigns allows you to then see straight away if it's working well. Are you wasting budget on certain campaigns? What campaigns are bringing in a lot of revenue? So just having that data is the key. So I'd say definitely the first thing to look at is the conversion tracking and having the analytics set up correctly before jumping straight into the campaign, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, Jay. Forgive my ignorance. That's something that you do, right?
Yeah. So we kind of do that from the sort of start right through to the end. So that's one of the first things we look at is kind of setting up the analytics, the tracking, making sure that stuff's all spot on before launching the campaigns, because it just makes the whole process a lot easier. Too many people almost jump the gun and just rush into it, launch a campaign, spend a lot of money, and then what they then find is they've spent thousands of pounds and they haven't had any results, or they can't see the data, so they can't track how well it's actually performed. So having the analytics stuff set up in the first place is key.
I just really want to kind of like pour more petrol on that, Jay, because the amount of businesses I've had the pleasure of being in contact with and visiting, and whether it be giving them some kind of social media discovery and talking to them about that, even from my perspective, we need to have some attribution set up, some tracking set up, right? And especially in your field, it's even more important. If you are a small business owner watching this now, watching it back, listening back, please take Jay's advice and get this set up. And obviously that's something that Jay can do as a part of his suite of services, which I didn't expect you to do, Jay, funnily enough. So great to hear that. Jay, let's move on to something which might wind you up, the dreaded Facebook boost button. Is this something that's kind of like a mistake that businesses make, or do you think that's okay in terms of a starting point for people?
I'd say as a starting point, it's better than doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's definitely better ways to go about it. So like when you boost a post, it's quite limited in terms of like the targeting and the sort of stuff you can do with it. So the best thing to do is, instead of boosting posts, it's better to sort of open up your Facebook ads manager and actually create like a physical campaign with different ad groups, different audiences, because then you can really test out sort of different scenarios, different audiences. Whereas when you boost a post, it's quite limiting. But I'd say it's better than doing nothing. So like if you really don't have the time, or you don't have a large budget, I'd say boosting posts, there's nothing wrong with that to kind of give it an extra push. But if you really want to take it to the next level, I think sort of having an actual campaign is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, and people do want the next level, don't they? It's like the advice I give around social media, Jay. It's, I'd rather you post than ghost, right? I'd rather you did something than nothing. And it's similar to you, right? Boosting is an okay place to start, but then, taking some of your advice and following some of your strategies, which we're going to get into, will be that sort of next level stuff that your business deserves. Let's kind of go into the how, Jay. Let's talk about strategy, the execution of this. How much of paid ad success is like the targeting and the copy, and how much is kind of like the funnel behind it? I'd really like to kind of get your wisdom around, at what points do you launch certain campaigns, and how do you create some, essentially, Jay, tell us your magic recipe, please.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think both of them matter, like, but in sort of different ways. So like when somebody clicks on the ad, I think the funnel then does the sort of heavy lifting. So the landing page, the offer, the checkout process, like the follow-up emails, I think all of that stuff kind of does a lot of the heavy lifting. So you could have the best creative, the best ad copy in the world, but if you don't have all the other stuff, it's not always going to work. So you can't just throw money at it and just hope it's magically going to work without kind of having that whole funnel in place. And again, like a lot of our clients where they just run ads on one platform, what we kind of find is having ads running on multiple platforms kind of helps take it to that next kind of level. Because, for example, when somebody searches on Google, Google's the first place where people search, right? So when somebody searches on Google, they click to your website, and for whatever reason they don't purchase, you can then retarget those users through the social ads and through things like email and other channels. So I think having the whole funnel, the whole picture, that kind of helps you kind of have a better chance at success overall.
Love that, Jay. So many people don't think about the funnel, and it's something that I always have to politely educate people on as well, around social media marketing, and especially organic social, which is our area of specialism, is right at the top of that funnel, right? of course we can share messages that are lower down the funnel, but that's where your field of expertise can really shine. So I'm pleased that you brought that up, Jay. Well, I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball question here, Jay. So get ready for it. What's your favorite platform for paid social right now? Because I've seen that you've been talking on your social a lot about TikTok. Is that your favorite, or is there another one?
Yeah, TikTok is definitely my favorite at the moment. I think that's where the sort of big growth is, especially for like e-commerce businesses. Not so much like sort of B2B, but definitely sort of e-com. TikTok Shop is just so powerful at the moment, and I think we're getting to a point where people are so lazy that they don't want to click through to your website. They don't want to leave the app that they're on. So that's where TikTok Shop is so powerful, that you can see a video or an ad, and you can straight away one click checkout directly within TikTok Shop, and you then get the product the next day or two. It's just so easy, and people are starting to realize that now, and more businesses are now starting to set up TikTok Shop and starting to run campaigns. But again, like the TikTok campaigns only work if you're posting organically as well. So TikTok is very powerful in that element, that they use your organic content and like affiliate content to attach. They attach that content to the ad campaign. So you can't just run campaigns without really doing organic content as well, which is very interesting, and it seems to be working really well at the moment.
Oh, I'm pleased to hear that, Jay. I'm pleased to hear that I'm still in a job then. I'm pleased that organic social is still useful. So let's talk about a success story for you, right? Because I've bigged you up, and people might be thinking, oh, he's just sort of pally with this Jay guy. But tell the audience, some success stories, because some of the stuff I'm seeing you share on certainly your personal LinkedIn, in terms of the numbers and the growth and the success and the money that you're making for businesses is mind blowing. So can you share a few stories, Jay?
Yeah, definitely. So one kind of recent one that stands out is a car dealership that I work with locally. They're based in Norwich, and basically when I kind of took a look into their Google Ads account, we kind of found that they were spending around £10,000 a month on Google Ads, and what they had running was that they were kind of bidding and spending all of their budget on their brand name. So basically, a lot of their budget was being wasted on a keyword that they didn't need to spend money on. So if you search their brand name, they appear organically anyway, and they were then spending all of their ad spend on their own brand name when they didn't need to pay for those clicks, essentially. And over like a 6-month period, we kind of found that they spent just under £40,000 on their brand name campaign, and then comparing that to the last 6 months of this year, when I've been kind of running the account, we've basically cut their ad spend in half, and they've seen almost double the amount of conversions while spending less budget.
Wow.
Yeah, their traffic's gone up, their conversions have gone up, but their ad spend is almost half. So not only are they saving a lot of wasted ad spend, their traffic and conversions have gone up, because we've really worked on the campaign structure, and we're now sort of going after newer customers instead of wasting budget on conversions that they would have got anyway from their organic search.
That is a really interesting anecdote, and congratulations, Jay. I think that's incredible work. I love the fact that you've come on almost like sharing a story about saving money, because everyone's always talking about making money for a business, and of course that's something that you're able to do very easily with your skill. But the fact that you're able to go into an organization and say, hey guys, you're way overspending here, let's cut that back. And yet, double was the word that you used, right? So that's phenomenal. Car dealerships and beyond, if maybe you're making the same mistake as the one that Jay has mentioned, and you could inquire about his services too. Jay, what does the future of your world look like? Because there's loads of chat going on about cookie tracking changes and all of that stuff, and it's constantly evolving. How do you see the future of your area of specialism benefiting businesses?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest trends at the moment is like interactive content. So obviously things like TikTok live streams, that seems to be doing really well at the moment. And I think that's just gonna sort of continue in the future. So I think it's already here right now, but I think it's only going to keep improving over time. So yeah, people just really love the whole interactive element. You know, people like to be heard. They like to speak to a real human being and kind of, you know, shop that way. So it's almost gone back to the whole, like, I don't know if you remember the whole like shopping TV channels from
QVC, yeah.
QVC. It's almost like that's come back around, but in like I guess like a more modern kind of element. So yeah, I'd say that's definitely going to continue into the future and be one of the biggest sort of trends. And another one is, well, you're going to hate me for this one. You've probably heard it 100 times before, but it's going to be AI. Yeah, it's just people seem to there's like a real sort of stigma around it at the moment, and I think like a lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it, but I think it's definitely going to keep improving. And I think if we don't adapt to it, we're just going to get left behind.
Yes. I'm with you on that, Jay. Certainly not an AI denier over here. I think it's incredibly impactful. I also think, though, people are using it really poorly and they're making a lot of mistakes, and that can actually detract from their brand. Speaking of mistakes, Jay, what are the big kind of red flags, the big mistakes that you see people making time after time? And even the one that you said earlier, you know, about bidding on a brand name, for example, you know, what kind of big mistakes can you highlight so that at least the business owners, marketing managers that are watching, listening to this now can go, oh my God, I'm definitely going to avoid doing that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes is setting a campaign up and then just leaving it and just forgetting about it. Too many brands are now starting to do that, and it's almost like the lazy kind of approach. So people are just setting up a campaign, forgetting about it, and just like never ever touching it again for like 6-12 months. So that's one of the biggest mistakes, is because with these campaigns, they're constantly learning, they're constantly changing. You need to be going in there at least once or twice a week and kind of making adjustments based on the results. So like one example is I worked with one client recently where they set up a campaign, and you know, in the first month it was performing really, really well. So they said, you know, it's doing its thing. I'm just gonna let it run and leave it for 6 months. And then they came back sort of 4 months later, and yeah, the first month did really well, but the next 5 months it completely tanked, and it lost quite a lot of money. You know, they didn't really get any return on their ad spend. So that's definitely one of the biggest mistakes, is just kind of, you know, leaving it to chance and just not kind of being on top of it, and you know, making optimizations and being proactive.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any more big mistakes that you might have, Joe?
Funny enough, one of the big mistakes at the moment with sort of especially social ads is kind of relying on AI. So yeah, kind of going back to what we said about AI being a future trend, it's still not, you know, 100% at the moment. Sure, in 5-10 years it might be nearly perfect, but at the moment there's still quite a lot of flaws with especially Advantage Plus Facebook campaigns, where they apply a bunch of like AI overlays and AI adjustments to the ads, and sometimes the image won't fit correctly, or they'll add text on top of your ad, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense. So that's probably the second biggest mistake that people seem to be making at the moment, is just kind of switching a lot of the AI enhancements on, and then not actually checking them, or not actually like seeing how the ad actually looks on like a mobile device.
Well flagged, Jay. Well flagged. As I said right at the top of the show, every time I'm with you, I always learn something new, and I'm sure other business owners will do the exact same thing. We could talk for hours about your geeky world of paid social and PPC, my friend, but where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? Where can they do business with you?
Yeah, one of the easiest places would be just contacting us through one of our social media platforms. So our social handle is Cordt Digital, or you can drop me an email. My email address is j@cortdigital.co.uk. But yeah, usually just contacting me via LinkedIn or Instagram is going to be the easiest place to kind of get in touch.
Amazing. Jay, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
So thank you so much for having me, Chris. It's been great.
No, absolute pleasure. And as I have already emphasized 2 or 3 times in this conversation, please, people, connect with Jay. Definitely get Jay in your organization, helping you with your paid social, with your PPC. What this guy doesn't know isn't worth knowing, honestly. The stuff that he does really blows my mind, and I'm sure it will be the same for you too. So go and connect with him and do business with him. Thank you once again for tuning into A Coffee with Chris. As always, a massive thank you to our charity partners and usual podcast sponsors, and I will see you this time next week for another episode. Thanks very much.